Yeah, I
And then he
bet.
was in the Catalinas.
I know he's on there.
He died when he was in the Catalinas.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I miss him. He was my brother. I didn't have kind of more like a brother than an uncle.
Yeah.
Roy's in the Shagging Hall of Fame.
I'm in the shagging the whole thing. What you said?
Shagadelic.
The psychedelic.
You shag, Thomas?
No, I got two left feet.
Okay, Jan. If you would from the top again, do that very same thing for us.
Okay.
Quiet. Let's
A
get
quiet, please, on the set. Phones off.
Stop crunching them Cheetos.
And keep the airplane noise to a minimum. Okay, Jan.
I'm Jan McLaughlin. I grew up at 1308 Revere Road. I now live in southwest Winston-Salem.
All right, Jan. Could you just talk about a little bit? This house we're in is so beautiful and amazing. I've been fortunate enough to be here for 2 days, and I already feel like I'm here. I mean, it's like wow. But do you remember moving into this house, or some of your first days or moments in this house?
I do not remember.
Now remember, you gotta wait.
Sorry,
Till I give you
sorry.
Give him 2 seconds.
Okay.
Sorry, because
Okay.
it'll clip me and you together.
Okay.
You won't be able to use
Okay.
it. So, Jan, do you remember moving into this house and what it was like when you were younger? When you first were like, "Wow, where am I living?"
I do not remember moving into this house. I just grew up here, and it was just a fabulous place to live. I remember how spectacular I thought this house was because my house was so much different than all my friends' houses. And I just thought it was really, really special.
Can you tell me, was that when you're more like in the first grade and you went to somebody else's house? Can you put it in context like that? Your particular age when that came around?
Probably in the first grade when, or possibly in preschool, because my mother took me to the first integrated preschool ever. And I would stay with my preschool teacher after it was over, and my mother would come pick me up. But it was just a normal, and when I say normal, just a stick built 2-story house. So I think I realized it probably back in preschool.
Okay, we're gonna wait for that car. That's great. That's crazy because you are cognizant then easily about differences. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
could you talk about that one more time? You were in say when I was in preschool, I went da 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 and tell me that story again. Now that the car's going.
Okay. When I remember this house the first time, I always loved the architecture. And the first time I remembered how different houses were, I was in preschool with, I had to go after preschool and stay with my teacher. Her name was Mrs. Dufork. And she kept me after preschool. And I just realized it was like a stick built 2-story house that I was just like, do people really live in this stuff? I didn't know the difference. I thought everybody lived in what I lived in.
Speaking about what you lived in, it is spectacular. I think by all accounts, and we'd all agree, and there's no doubt about it. You can call it mid-century or whatever, but I think it's timeless. But did your father, who built this house, and you can talk about that too, what was your relationship with him and architecture? Did he talk about architecture with you?
He didn't really talk a lot. Excuse me.
That's all right. We'll get it down in a minute.
Go ahead.
So talk to me about your father's talking to you about architecture and the history and his principles to you, if he did, or
He did not really talk about architecture. My father was a very quiet person, but he did share his love of building. He worked with. He went to school at the Architecture of Interior Design up in Illinois, and worked with Mies van der Rohe, and was very fortunate to do that. And I think a lot of this actually shows what he did in life and what he strived to keep as far as architecture.
we're gonna wait a second. That was great. We're just gonna wait. There's a siren in the car. talk about the differences, say between a Saturday and a weekday in the house? We'll talk about what your life was like during the weekdays in the house.
During the weekdays, my mother, she volunteered very, very often, and my father was either up here watching a football game or later in life. Well, not even later in life. He was in the pottery shop. That's what we called it, and we would be up here running crazy. But we had to do our homework first. We sat at the table right over there. Daddy would be sitting here if he was watching a football game, or he'd be downstairs in the pottery shop. And Saturdays, Daddy would watch pretty much ball games all day long if he wasn't working in the pottery shop. And we just kind of, it was a good life. I remember going to my old school that I went to 7th and 8th grade, and we used to go fly kites. We used to just hang out and just be a family, and we'd drive the big old Torino that we called Bertha, and we would just have a good time in that. And we had friends in there, and we just congregated, and we just had it was a great life.
Was that, could you talk about Saturdays when you didn't have school? Was that more like a family fun day, or was it more like a neighborhood friend fun day? I mean, wait for a minute and go back and on Saturday, start it with on Saturdays, if there is something, okay?
On Saturdays, if we had anything planned, we would get that done first. Let me back up. Every Friday night, we ate out for dinner, and it was either McDonald's or big night would be the kids got to go to Pizza Hut, and the adults would go to, I think it was called Bonanza. It was a steak place, and we would be side by side so they could still watch us. And but Saturdays we would get up. My daddy played a lot of golf, so he might be going to play golf, and we would just get our stuff done. And Saturday nights were just cooking and hanging out. And then, of course, Sundays were always church. And then Sunday night was a free-for-all with what we got to eat. And Daddy would eat sardines, and me and Thomas and Lisa would eat our own pizza. And we thought that was just awesome.
Now, another thing, well, your mother mentioned it earlier, and Lisa had mentioned it too, how you guys were all, to me, yesterday, you're all spread out and had your own bedrooms. You want to talk about your bedroom in particular and how you decorated it and what was special to you about your bedroom?
Oh, my bedroom was awesome. I painted it in strange colors. They were green and blue, and I don't know why I picked that out. I probably didn't pick up Dottie's interior design, but Mama bought me a desk, and I painted it myself. And I had a little desk, and I painted it, I believe it was green, and the rest of the room was blue. And I liked everything exactly where I put it. It had to be clean. It had to be. I was crazy. My father made my bed for me. He made a platform bed and just put a mattress on it, and I slept on that until I left this house. And it was an awesome room.
Can we stop for 1 second? I'm sorry to interrupt. I think I'd like to change batteries so that we don't miss